Someone asked me on Tumblr today, is there a wrong or a right way to learn a language? And essentially my answer is yes, there are definitely ways that are not going to be effective in your language learning journey. I mean, if you're just starting out and you do a Google search on how to learn a language, probably one of the first things you're going to see is Duolingo and Rosetta Stone. While these are pieces of software that can be beneficial and helpful to your language learning journey, you should not use these things thinking that you're going to get fluent just by interacting with this. Language learning comes from hearing the language, by interacting with native speakers, by reading content, by writing journals, by practicing your speaking. Just by using one app, you're not going to get to a level where you want to be at, which is essentially fluent. What I mean by there's a wrong way to learn a language is there's a wrong way to approach the method that you already have. If you are dead set focused on just learning vocabulary, for instance, and you're ignoring grammar, you're not practicing your speaking, you're not getting a holistic approach to language learning, then you are not going to improve as fast as you could be. Language learning is all about the input. You need to get comprehensible input. There's a really awesome YouTube video about this that kind of sparked this whole debate about receiving comprehensible input in a language, and that is basically getting information that you can understand and apply to your language learning. So something I do when I'm learning a language is I try and apply it to my job, which is a UI UX designer. So I'm always looking up articles in Spanish or Korean, or listening to design podcasts that can help me improve my vocabulary in spheres that are relevant to my life, and of course bound to be words that I'm going to use a lot. So I just googled it, and comprehensible input is a hypothesis that says comprehensible input is language input that can be understood by listeners despite them not understanding all the words and structures in it. So this goes back to the question I received on Tumblr, which is, I've been watching children's cartoons lately because I find them entertaining and easy to understand and learn, given I'm a complete beginner. But a friend always says that that's a dumb idea. First of all, that's not a nice thing of your friend to say, because clearly this person is finding that by watching cartoons they are able to learn because they are getting comprehensible input. My friend Brixton, who watches every single one of my videos, so I was actually just discussing this with him today, and he said that he used to watch a lot of Norwegian cartoons growing up as a kid. So I asked him and I said, okay, well, how much of this did you actually understand? Did you watch it with English subtitles? He said, no, there weren't English subtitles available. So I was like, okay, how did you understand it? He says, well, they're actually pretty easy because they're made for kids. And remember, there is a visual aid with it. So you can actually see what is going on. And again, we can talk about this and people can debate about this on both sides, like how kids learn languages. They're always just hearing and seeing what their parents are doing, and then they can make the connections between what they're hearing, the word, and what they're seeing, what the parent is doing. A lot of people do say, okay, but we're adults, we're not kids, we shouldn't be learning like kids are learning. That's a discussion for a whole other video. But the point is that to some extent this is effective if you're making visual connections with what you are being able to see. My mom took a course on how to teach English, and one of the lessons she had was, I think somebody was from Poland, if I remember correctly, and this lady came in and taught them a Polish lesson completely in Polish without English, and none of them could speak a word, but by the end of the lesson they could like introduce themselves and point and say what things are. For example, if I, take this and I say pen, and you don't know what pen means, and I say pens, not pen, you are able to figure out that these things are called pens when they're together. One of it is a pen, and maybe I didn't do this correctly because you would think a paintbrush is called a not pen, but you get where I'm getting at, right? By giving you visual aids and comprehensible input, you can figure out that these are called pens. So what I want to say to the person who wrote me this question is, it is okay, continue doing what you're doing. However, don't let cartoons be the only way you're learning this language. Remember to take from a whole bunch of different sources. Have a vocabulary book or some, app to learn vocab on. Have some way that you can learn grammar, but keep getting this comprehensible input where you can hear the words that popped up. Something I do is I don't review my notes a lot. I don't go over old vocab words and try and memorize. I kind of just hope that by all the input I'm getting from the language, that those words will pop up somewhere. So the more exposure you get to the language, the more you can solidify these words and grammar structures that you have at least learned once or twice. Something else I want to touch on is your mindset about language learning. I've made a video about this, which I think will be very helpful for you, because a lot of how we learn a language is how we think about learning. If you're constantly focusing about, I'm so scared to make mistakes, I'm so scared to be speaking to native speakers, you are adopting this mindset of fear, and you're going to associate language learning with something that is very scary and intimidating. It's okay. It takes a while for us to get over that hurdle of fear of speaking to people and of making mistakes. But once we change our mindset, the way we learn languages is going to improve. So I'm going to refer to my trusty friend Alex Rawlings' book over here, which is called How to Speak Any Language Fluently. And on page 24, he says, believe that what you do is possible. If you are harboring doubts, these will limit your ability to achieve what you want. Imagine where you want to be and focus exactly on how much you want it. Set yourself language learning quotas to fulfill each day and each week. Then focus on achieving these. So number one, dream big. Convince yourself that it really is possible to speak language fluently. I don't remember why it appeared in my YouTube recommendations, but I was watching this video about a guy's weight loss journey, and at the end of the video, it said something like, since success is definite, what would you do? Or now that you know success is a definite thing, what will you do to get there? So also change your mindset about how you think about language learning. You will succeed if you put in this input. Research some language learning techniques which are applicable to your situation and your learning style. But the most important thing is just being consistent, having a positive mindset, and getting comprehensible input. So if that means watching cartoons, that's okay. At least you are hearing the language. That other person who said that's a dumb idea, they're spending their time telling other people it's a dumb idea, and they're not even listening to the language when you are at least having this input. I think that's totally okay, and you do you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me hear your ideas in the comments. What do you think? Are there right or wrong ways to learn a language? Let's talk about it. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more language learning videos. And as always, don't forget to check out my website where I have tons of resources as well as a FAQ if you have any questions. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week. Bye bye.